We are often taught that kindness is the highest virtue, that turning the other cheek makes us strong, and that being nice, even in the face of mistreatment, is a sign of good character. But somewhere along the way, kindness has been twisted into compliance. It has been misinterpreted as a willingness to accept poor treatment, to tolerate manipulation, and to endlessly extend grace to those who show no intention of changing. True kindness does not mean sacrificing yourself at the altar of someone else's selfishness. It does not mean silencing your own needs just to avoid conflict. When dealing with a narcissist, kindness is often seen as weakness. To them, it is not an act of generosity, it is an open door to control. Narcissists interpret patience as permission and forgiveness as an invitation to repeat their behavior. They don't see your understanding as a gift, they see it as leverage. The more you try to reason with them, the more they twist your words. The more you explain your pain, the more they gaslight you into believing it's your fault. And the more you try to be nice, the more they push the limits of what they can take from you. There is a stark difference between kindness and compliance. Kindness is choosing to act with integrity, regardless of how someone else behaves. Compliance, on the other hand, is surrendering your own boundaries out of fear, guilt, or obligation. Kindness says, I will treat you with respect, but I will not let you disrespect me. Compliance says, I will keep the peace even if it costs me my dignity. The line between these two is the difference between self-respect and self-abandonment. The hardest part about breaking free from this pattern is the guilt. If you're a naturally kind-hearted person, setting boundaries can feel cruel. You may worry that standing up for yourself makes you selfish. You may feel responsible for how the narcissist reacts when you finally say no. But here's the truth. Someone else's disappointment in your boundaries is not your problem to solve. Their anger is not a sign that you're doing something wrong. It's a sign that your boundaries are working. Narcissists thrive on people pleasers. They seek out those who are empathetic, forgiving, and willing to give second, third, and fourth chances. They exploit the fact that you don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. And because they are masters of manipulation, they know exactly how to make you doubt yourself. They will call you ungrateful. They will accuse you of being too sensitive. They will turn the tables and say you are the one mistreating them. And if you're not careful, you will find yourself apologizing for things that weren't even your fault. Kindness is not about letting people walk all over you. It is not about swallowing your pain just to make someone else comfortable. Real kindness has courage. It has strength. It has limits. You can be kind and still walk away from someone who repeatedly hurts you. You can be kind and still say, I will not allow this in my life. You can be kind and still refuse to play the game of constant forgiveness for someone who refuses to change. So what does true kindness look like? It looks like protecting your peace. It looks like removing yourself from toxic cycles, even if it means disappointing people who never cared about your well-being in the first place. It looks like saying, I love myself enough to stop being available for abuse. Because at the end of the day, kindness that comes at the cost of your self-respect is not kindness at all. It's self-betrayal. If you take one thing away from this, let it be this. You can be a good person with a kind heart and still say no. You can be compassionate without being controlled. You do not have to carry the weight of someone else's dysfunction just because they expect you to. Kindness is powerful, but it is not permission for mistreatment. Hold your head high, walk away when necessary, and remember, true kindness starts with how you treat yourself. Narcissists thrive on control, confusion, and emotional reactions. They play a game where the rules constantly change, where you are always wrong, and where they always come out on top. The more you engage, the more power you give them. Every argument, every explanation, and every attempt to make them see your perspective is just another round of their game, a game designed for them to win. The only way to truly regain your peace is to stop playing altogether. The first rule of a narcissist's game is that they will never fight fair. They don't argue to resolve conflict, they argue to dominate. They don't listen to understand, they listen to twist your words. You can present facts, express your pain, or try to meet them with patience, but none of it will matter. A narcissist is not looking for resolution, they are looking for control. And as long as you keep trying to win an argument with them, you are playing right into their hands. One of their most powerful tactics is shifting blame. No matter what they've done, they will find a way to make it your fault. If they lied, it's because you were too sensitive. If they cheated, it's because you weren't giving them enough attention. If they hurt you, it's because you provoked them. They will twist reality until you start questioning yourself. And once they have you doubting your own feelings, they know they've won. That's why the best response is no response at all. Narcissists need a reaction. They feed off your frustration, your pain, and your desperation for closure. If they can get you to cry, yell, or defend yourself, they know they still have power over you. But the moment you stop reacting, when you refuse to argue, when you don't take the bait, when you calmly walk away, their power begins to fade. It is in your silence and your refusal to engage that you take back control. Another trick they use is playing the victim. The moment you stand up for yourself, they will suddenly become the one who has been wronged. They will tell others how cruel and unfair you are. They will rewrite history to make it seem like they were the ones suffering all along. And if you're not careful, you'll find yourself defending your own truth, trying to convince people that you are not the villain in their story. But here's the hard truth. You don't need to prove your side to anyone. Those who believed the narcissist lies were never truly on your side to begin with. Walking away from the game doesn't mean you have to cut off all contact immediately, though in some cases that is the best option. What it does mean is that you stop giving them what they crave. You stop seeking their approval. You stop trying to explain yourself. You stop engaging in conversations that go in circles. You learn to say okay and move on instead of getting pulled into endless debates that leave you emotionally drained. You start choosing your peace over their chaos. This is not easy, especially if you've been conditioned to believe that if you just say the right words, they will finally understand. But the truth is, no amount of explaining, reasoning, or defending will change a narcissist. They don't want to understand you, they want to control you. And the only way to truly be free is to step out of the game and refuse to be a player. At the end of the day, the most powerful thing you can do is reclaim your energy. Instead of pouring your time and emotions into someone who will never appreciate them, invest in yourself. Focus on healing, on setting boundaries, and on surrounding yourself with people who respect you. Because once you stop playing their game, you'll realize something incredible. You were never losing. You were just playing a game that was rigged from the start. And the moment you stop playing is the moment you win. Your energy is one of the most valuable things you have. It fuels your mind, your emotions, and your ability to show up fully in life. But when you're dealing with a narcissist, your energy is constantly under attack. They drain you with manipulation, gaslighting, and endless conflict. They pull you into their chaos, leaving you exhausted and second-guessing yourself. The truth is, you can't afford to keep giving your energy to people who only take. If you want to heal, if you want to reclaim your sense of self, you must protect your energy like your life depends on it. Because in many ways, it does. The first step in protecting your energy is recognizing what is draining you. Narcissists don't just take your time. They take your mental and emotional strength. They create situations that demand your attention. One day, they make you feel like the most important person in the world. The next, they ignore you or lash out for no reason. They keep you walking on eggshells, always wondering what mood they'll be in, always trying to manage their emotions instead of focusing on your own. This constant instability is exhausting. The moment you recognize this cycle, you can begin to take your power back. Boundaries are your greatest defense. Think of your energy like a bank account. Every time you engage with a narcissist, every argument, every explanation, every attempt to make them see your perspective, you are making a withdrawal, and they never deposit anything back. A healthy relationship has a balance of giving and receiving, but with a narcissist, you're always overdrawn. Protecting your energy means setting firm boundaries. It means deciding what you will and won't allow. It means learning to say no without guilt and without explanation. One of the biggest lies we tell ourselves is that we owe people endless chances, that if we just love them enough, they will change. But love does not fix a pattern of manipulation. Love does not erase someone's refusal to take accountability. Protecting your energy means accepting that some people will never change and deciding that you don't have to keep subjecting yourself to their toxic behavior. It means understanding that your well-being is more important than their opinion of you. Detaching from a narcissist doesn't mean you hate them. It doesn't mean you want revenge. It means you finally recognize that their presence in your life is doing more harm than good. It means you stop trying to prove your worth to someone who refuses to see it. It means you stop feeling responsible for their emotions, their reactions, and their problems. You are not their emotional punching bag, and you are not required to fix them at the expense of yourself. Another key to protecting your energy is being mindful of where your attention goes. Narcissists thrive on keeping you emotionally invested. They want you to replay conversations in your head, to analyze their words, to obsess over what you could have done differently. But every moment you spend thinking about them is energy stolen from your own peace. Shift your focus. Instead of wondering how they feel about you, ask yourself how you feel about them. Instead of worrying about what they're thinking, turn your attention to what makes you happy, fulfilled, and at peace. Healing from narcissistic abuse is not just about cutting someone out of your life. It's about learning to trust yourself again. Narcissists make you doubt your instincts. They make you question your own reality. Protecting your energy means rebuilding that trust. It means listening to your gut when something feels off. It means believing in your own experiences even when they try to rewrite the story. It means knowing that you are allowed to walk away from anything that makes you feel small, exhausted, or unworthy. At the end of the day, protecting your energy is an act of self-respect. It's a declaration that your peace, your joy, and your emotional well-being are not up for negotiation. You don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to feel guilty. You simply have to choose yourself every single time. Because the more you protect your energy, the more you create space for the life, the relationships, and the peace that you truly deserve. For too long, many of us have been taught that setting boundaries is selfish, that saying no makes us mean, that distancing ourselves from toxic people is cruel, and that we should always prioritize keeping the peace over standing our ground. But this belief is not just unhealthy, it is dangerous. Boundaries are not about shutting people out or being unkind. They are an act of self-respect, a declaration that your needs, emotions, and well-being matter just as much as anyone else's. They are not walls built out of anger, but doors designed to protect your peace. When dealing with a narcissist, boundaries are not just important, they are necessary for survival. Narcissists thrive on control. They push, manipulate, and test how much they can take from you before you finally push back. If you don't set boundaries, they will take your time, your energy, your sense of self-worth, and leave you questioning whether you are the problem. They do not see kindness as something to be valued. They see it as something to be used. The only way to break free from their cycle of manipulation is to create limits and to enforce them unapologetically. But setting boundaries isn't just about saying no to a narcissist. It's about saying yes to yourself. Every time you set a boundary, you send a message to yourself that you are worthy of protection. You affirm that your emotions are valid, that your limits are real, and that you have a right to decide what you will and will not accept in your life. Boundaries are not a punishment for others. They are a commitment to your own well-being. They are a way of saying, I refuse to betray myself to make someone else comfortable. One of the hardest parts of setting boundaries with a narcissist is dealing with their reaction. They will not respect your limits. They will test them. They will push against them. They will try to guilt trip you, call you selfish, or accuse you of being ungrateful. They will act as if your boundaries are a personal attack, as if your need for peace is somehow an offense against them. But here's what you need to remember. Their reaction is not your responsibility. Their anger is not a sign that you are doing something wrong. It is a sign that your boundaries are working. The mistake many people make is believing that boundaries only need to be stated once. But with narcissists, enforcing boundaries is an ongoing process. They will pretend to change only to slip back into old patterns. They will push your limits in small ways to see if you will let them get away with it. And if you do, they will keep pushing further. That's why setting a boundary is not enough. You must also be willing to hold it, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it makes you feel guilty, even when they try to convince you that you are being unreasonable. One powerful boundary is learning to disengage. Narcissists love to provoke a reaction. They want you to argue, to explain, to plead for them to understand. But you don't owe them endless conversations about why your boundaries exist. A simple no, or I won't discuss this further, is enough. You do not have to justify your right to protect your peace. And when they try to manipulate you, the strongest response is often silence. Walk away, end the call, remove yourself from their games. That is a boundary in action. Setting boundaries does not mean you don't care about the other person. It does not mean you are being cold or distant. It simply means you are choosing to care about yourself too. And that is something you should never feel guilty about. You deserve relationships that feel safe, supportive, and reciprocal. You deserve peace. And anyone who truly loves and respects you will honor your boundaries, not fight against them. At the end of the day, boundaries are a form of self-love. They are the lines that protect your heart, your energy, and your well-being. They are not something you set because you are unkind. They are something you set because you finally realize that kindness must include yourself. Stand firm, hold the line, and remember, every time you honor your boundaries, you are honoring yourself. Walking away from a narcissist is one of the hardest things you'll ever do. Not because you should stay, but because they have conditioned you to believe that leaving is impossible. They have spent so much time weaving a web of control, guilt, and self-doubt around you that the idea of breaking free feels overwhelming. And yet, the only way to reclaim your peace is to detach. But detachment isn't just about physical distance, it's about emotional freedom. And to truly move forward, you must learn to detach with strength, not bitterness. Bitterness is understandable. After all, narcissists don't just hurt you, they manipulate you into believing that the pain is your fault. They lie, twist your words, and create chaos in ways that leave lasting scars. It's natural to feel anger when you realize how much of your energy they have drained, how many sleepless nights you have endured, how much of yourself you have lost in the process of trying to love them. But holding on to that anger only keeps you tied to them. Bitterness keeps the wound open. Strength, on the other hand, allows you to heal. Detaching with strength means refusing to let their behavior define your future. It means choosing growth over resentment. It means understanding that while they may have played a significant role in your past, they do not get to dictate your happiness moving forward. Strength says, I refuse to let them take up any more space in my heart or mind. Strength says, I release them, not because they deserve it, but because I deserve peace. One of the biggest challenges in detaching is the desire for closure. Narcissists don't give closure. They don't offer apologies that are sincere, and they don't take accountability. Waiting for them to validate your pain or acknowledge the harm they caused will only keep you stuck. True closure isn't something they give you, it's something you give yourself. It's the moment you decide that their actions no longer have power over you. It's the moment you stop replaying old conversations, stop trying to figure out what you could have done differently, and start focusing on what you can do now. Detachment also means removing them from your emotional world. You may not always be able to avoid them physically, especially if they are a family member, coworker, or someone you must interact with, but you can control how much access they have to your emotions. They will try to bait you into arguments, guilt trip you into coming back, or even pretend to change just to pull you in again. Strength means not engaging. Strength means recognizing their patterns and refusing to participate. Strength means saying, I see what you're doing, and I choose not to respond. Healing from narcissistic abuse is a journey, and detaching with strength doesn't happen overnight. Some days you may feel strong and empowered. Other days you may feel the pull of old patterns, the weight of nostalgia, or the temptation to reach out one last time. That's okay. Strength isn't about being perfect. It's about choosing yourself. Why and over again. It's about reminding yourself why you left, why you set boundaries, and why you deserve better, even when it's hard.